Hello, welcome to another commentary track for Disney Plus. This is Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, parentheses, Episode 3, in parentheses, as it is written on Disney Plus. Joining me is Michael, who is going to give us all the factoids throughout the movie. Go ahead and say a quick hello there, Michael.
Hello, everyone. Glad you could join us.
Okay, so I know we've been kind of delayed this for a while here, but we're finally concluding the prequel trilogy. And if you'd like to listen along with us, go ahead and queue up to 0000 on Disney Plus. But first, if you want to have the best skincare in the system, check out my buddies at calderalab.com. Use my promo code FRY15 and save 15% at checkout. Okay, so we see the 20th Century Fox, okay, in the little window in the corner there, 000. Hit play now.
Yes, sir. Let's do this.
Yeah, okay, so it gives you a little bit of black screen and it loads the 20th Century Fox. And you know what? This could have been one of the last movies, then probably by special request, to have a static 20th Century Fox look, to try to match the old 20th Century Fox intro. Because remember, it got all swoopy and shit for a while. By the way, I'm having popcorn, I'm drinking a Rockstar.
Well, to me, this was at the time and should have been the last Star Wars movie we ever got in theaters.
I teared up a bit when at the opening title crawl with the Star Wars fanfare. Because I was like, oh, this is the last Star Wars, and I teared up a little bit. But the rest of the movie, I was kind of just a little nonplussed, like, well, that happened. War! Exclamation point. Don't
Exclamation
really care
point.
For that.
All in capitals. Okay, come on. This is Star Wars, not a musical. I pointed this out in the last movie. Is it just me, or do they make so much in these opening crawls sound so much more dramatic than it really is? This alarming chain of events. The ruthless Sith Lord.
It sounds like if you actually had somebody reading that to you in the transatlantic accent, it would be way more serial-like than having the title crawl. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and why is it's a minor gripe, but why is the title always something of the something? That's getting a little overused by now.
Something of the something. Attack of the Clones. The Phantom Menace, it's not the Phantom of the Menace.
Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi.
There are too many movies where that does happen. The Rise of the Skywalker, The Last of the Jedi, almost, right? What are these ships called? It's not quite a Star Destroyer. I heard somebody say it was like a carrier more so than a battleship.
What's with Red Letter Media when he points out this is nothing like the extra scene in Goodfellas? Come on, apples to oranges comparison. Two entirely different movies. Don't even mention the two back to back.
All right, you want to get into this, you're supposed to gaze in wonderment at the long tracking shot. But being that it's all CGI, the edits are invisible, and besides, there's no talent on screen. So, exactly how is this constitute as one continuous shot we should be in awe of? You can be in awe of the animation or the choices in the camera angle, or for lack of a better term here, but I don't think that you have to really draw a comparison here to actual people and everybody taking places, saying their lines just right, which also I'm not that enthralled with either. They do that stuff. They nail it every time on Broadway, so why should we act like one tracking shot's supposed to be all that impressive? By the way, that tracking shot didn't go nearly as long as I kind of remembered it doing.
It went in just as long in the Lego Star Wars game. Either way, we're seeing it from Anakin and Obi-Wan's point of view. We're following their ships as they're heading in towards their destination. Anakin's on the gold ship, Obi-Wan's on the red ship. Okay, it's establishing we've got to have something where we're following them together, where they're in combat, showing they work together as friends.
This will be the last wars in space in Star Wars for a while. Because we don't really have another starship sequence in this movie, do we? As fighters go or anything, right?
Not really. They go off on their own missions together.
Whoa. That was a clone trooper in there, right?
Yeah. It starts off well, but things go downhill very fast. And I don't mean downhill by the film itself, just downhill from, you know, what the inevitable, where things are heading from here. Now, you said something when we started. Episode 1 to you was the best of the prequels. I say Revenge of the Sith is the best of the prequels.
A lot of people will say this is the best. I think the issue, as the story goes, episode 1 has a lot more freedom to start the story. This one, it has to wrap some stuff up to the point where you know where things are going to conclude. And so a little bit of the disservice that is done to this movie is kind of put in place by those that came before it. I would say, as I have said, Darth Maul should stand in for Count Dooku. That said, I wouldn't kill Darth Maul this early in this movie. I mean, I don't see the point of General Grievous. Why couldn't the activities of General Grievous kind of be merged with Count Dooku here so that we could kill Count Dooku later in the film, possibly? Oh, I forgot about these, like, insectoid droid...
Buzz droids.
Hackbots, yeah. I haven't seen this movie in its entirety since I saw it in theaters. I've seen it bits and pieces on TV. I think Spike TV, now known as the Paramount Network, I think, they used to run all the Star Wars movies, like 6 of them, you know, back when, for like all afternoon.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
On the weekends and stuff. Like every weekend was just dominated by it. You know, I guess they paid the money for it. They got to run it.
But to me, that was a better time when George Lucas was involved. And I'll take Revenge of the Sith over any of the 5 films we got last any day of the week.
This is way better than the sequel trilogy, which just gets progressively worse in shocking ways.
At this time, I just left off on episode 4 of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. It's decent.
I wouldn't say decent's the word. It feels cheap in a lot of ways, and the story, I mean, I've made a couple videos on it.
But it's more watchable than what we got in the last few films.
It's not necessary because nothing happens. Nothing can happen because there's too many characters who we know nothing happens to. It's like if Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru do something, you know they can't get a hand cut off. You know nothing's going to come of their conflict because they have to be there for A New Hope. So
it seems to me Disney realized they screwed up big time with the sequel trilogy, so they got to do whatever they can to. Wait, please come back, please. We'll give you Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Of the fandom.
We'll give you Yoda.
No, it's not that. It's that they set their series in the like nebulous region between prequel and original trilogy. They're not setting shows in the sequel trilogy era because people don't like it. And some people are blaming the Galactic Cruiser expensive vacation thing they're doing, the flop of that, being in that it's set in the sequel trilogy. That people would have rather have gone on it if it was, not even so upscale. If it was more like a cantina from A New Hope, I think people would have liked it. All right, so we've got our actors out here proper, and they look way younger than they do in the new series, which kind of blows my mind because I don't like to think of 2005 as long ago in a galaxy far, far away. I mean, to me, 2005, I had an HD TV. I had an Xbox 360. It's not, doesn't seem that long ago. Granted, this was summer of 2005, but
I'll get into more on this on closing thoughts, but where this movie ends just segues perfectly into the original Star Wars. We didn't need more after this. We really didn't. More on that later.
Why Which, because of the way this ends and everything is, hey, lay low and wait for this kid to grow up and then maybe teach him the Force.
But back
You
to the
can't
film
really
with
get
this,
into a lot of shenanigans.
with what's going on with this current battle. Some really good camera tracking shots, like right there where they land inside the
I'm
hull of the
noticing
ship.
that there's actual sets in here, and maybe there's more sets in this movie than in Attack of the Clones. Like, this elevator appears to be real, whereas in parts of it anyhow, but just about every set in Attack of the Clones was green screen.
And where they somersault out of their ships, the camera pans with them as they somersault. Then they go right into action, cutting down these droids like they're butter.
The deleted scene of them going in like the sewer system. There's like some bad unfinished water effect. The forced jump, is that what we call it?
Yeah, force jump. There's a deleted scene where they go in the sewer and Shaak Ti is held captive by General Grievous, and she gets executed.
Which one's Shaak Ti?
She's the Asian-looking Jedi with the long kind of hair in the back. She's got kind of like red and white and black makeup on her. If you look her up, I think you'll remember her.
Now, of course, the CGI in this is rather sus, as the kids say. It's noticeable, whereas the CGI in even the new Obi-Wan series is markedly better.
Poor R2 taking some abuse here. He's trying to muffle the transmission, but the super battle droids notice him anyway. Puts up a good fight. And we got some fun banter back and forth between Anakin and Obi-Wan. I said no jokes. He's trying.
This opening is as friendly as they come across. Like, they come across much more like pals in this movie than previously when they are said to be best friends. Yet he's calling him master and all that.
And right here, this is basically them heading right into the spider's web. I said the whole time, Palpatine, he's the spider luring the flies. Just, I knew from the opening crawl, Palpatine's been kidnapped, they have to rescue him. Yeah, it's a trap,
if you're
all right.
kidnapped, are you really going to get this chair to chill in and swivel around?
And way I hear, Christopher Lee did this somersault. No stunt double. Amazing. The guy was, what, 82, 83 at the time? He did that somersault. That's what I heard.
Let's see it. Yeah, that's...
Maybe he had a springboard to help levitate him, help propel him upward.
So you were joking,
that's what I
right?
heard.
So that was all CGI, for sure.
Sith Lords are a specialty. Oh, come on, Obi-Wan. He pwned you in the last movie.
Now, they're called the Separatists, right? But they don't realize they're being played both sides. Looks to me like even as he's twisting and turning around there, they did something with his head. They tried to put his face on some stunt double. The first Star Wars PG-13, and almost entirely for the beheading. Well, and the burning at the end, probably, right?
Oh, definitely. More on that later. But if nothing else, the fun factor is there all the way through in episodes 1 through 6 to me. The films connect. The new films don't connect.
Everybody can sense this fear. Why? It's never, I can sense joy. Does it help that they're letting Anakin dress like a Sith more so than like a Jedi? Like, no one kind of raises that question. Where are your robes, Anakin? There go the hands. I find that pretty gruesome. And then finish him. Flawless victory. This wasn't part of the plan.
And look at Count Dooku, the way he turns to Palpatine in shock, he realizes, uh-oh,
What do you
I'm the
think was going
loose
to
end now.
happen? I don't understand. What did he think the plan was? Okay, now you get to keep both those lightsabers. No? Okay.
Kind of a quick
Too
way to
dangerous
kill
to be
off
kept
Count
alive.
Dooku, too, when you think about it. He was set up to be...
really beneficial that Obi-Wan was knocked out to not tell him not to kill him, right? No conflict there. Is it possible Palpatine is keeping Obi-Wan concussed right here? Or did something to him to open this up?
Or incapacitate him for a while,
Like
so
we saw the thing fall on him,
victory.
right? But it also cut to Palpatine looking over there. Is it possible Palpatine pulled that down on him? Of course, with as powerful as Palpatine is, or I mean, whatever the hell the case is in the latest Star Wars movie, he kind of doesn't need anybody.
Palpatine,
Like,
he
it
could have had a
renders
communicator
everything
hidden
moot.
on him somewhere, and he could have relayed a message to the battle droids. They're here.
No, what I'm saying is he has godlike powers. He doesn't need an apprentice. Like, it's kind of just... Is he keeping Darth around for funsies? You know, like...
I have this muted, but the music playing here is repeating things from the Escape from Naboo and the Phantom Menace.
Well, you'd almost think that R2 had like a magnetic thing to kind of help him stick instead of sliding down. Of course, we know he can fly, too, when he wants to.
A lot of fun action going on here. Now they're running down the elevator shaft just as the ship is heading downwards. But once the ship levels back up, they're going to be in a precarious situation.
It seems troublesome to introduce more bad guys as the movies get along. Like, Grievous could have been somebody else we'd previously seen. General Grievous is like some kind of opposite Captain Phasma, who isn't around for the big finale. Yet Grievous is only there for the finale.
He's this reptile-like creature inside a suit. It's basically a foreshadow as to where Darth Vader is heading. Something more machine than man, something inside a suit to maintain life support, if you will.
He's largely a droid, yet he has a cough.
That's another thing. All the coughing General Grievous is doing, that was actually George Lucas doing all that, way I heard. He had I had a bad cold one day during set. That's actually him recording all the coughing.
I mean, it wasn't, the best video compression, but somewhere online, maybe Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, I saw somebody had a General Grievous cosplay, and it was pretty incredible. I don't think they did like the 4 lightsabers rotating at high speed, but I mean, overall it looked pretty good.
Someone made a meme or whatever, like a battle droid offering General Grievous some Lipton tea or whatever. Tea to soothe your cough, sir?
Well, I saw a meme yesterday where Obi-Wan Kenobi goes up to boy Luke from the end of the show, and Luke sprouts arms and starts twirling the lightsaber. I'll have to show you, and you can look after you've seen the show, so as not to give anything away. Like I said, you can't really give anything away when so much has been contained to make sense of canon.
And someone asked if General Grievous collects lightsabers. Why doesn't he collect a red lightsaber if he's a bad guy? He just collects lightsabers. He doesn't care the color. He kills Jedi and steals their lightsabers.
Shorter than I expected. He looks pretty tall to me. Of course, if I'm going to be mostly droid, I'm going to be like a 7-footer. You know, may as well get that advantage, right?
Doing the voice of General Grievous is Matthew Wood, who was one of the sound engineers. Way I heard, originally, they wanted Gary Oldman of all people, but Star Wars films were made, I think, casting actors who are not part of the Screen Actors Guild, of which Oldman is a member.
How was Samuel L. Jackson not a member?
Good question. I think he is.
I mean, I think they had to do something to get actors who weren't guild members so that they could maintain the title sequence as they like it.
For that matter, how is Natalie Portman not a member?
Right, but I don't know. I mean, you don't really need to be a member because if you're a member, it's so that you can get the scale wage, I guess. I mean, they're not shooting in California. There might be some ways around this. It does seem kind of weird to me that Grievous is such a hunchback, too, you know? Like, you couldn't build a droid with correct posture.
What are your thoughts on
Not
those
the most
droids
convincing
with the poker rods that they were fighting just a moment ago? They're just as hard to kill in the
honestly,
games as
I
they
don't
are here in
remember
the
seeing
movie.
them. I don't remember seeing those things. It's kind of like, that's news to me. That was not the most convincing. We just blew, the pressure out in our spaceship scene. Just some light little lift them up with some wires.
Eject all the pods so they can't escape, sure. And when the window crashed and all the vacuum of space is sucking everything out of there, hello, Last Jedi, that's how it works. You can't survive the vacuum of space.
I mean, do you explode, possibly? Because you go from maybe pressurized to no pressure.
And now right here, where they have to fly what's left of the ship into the surface of Coruscant. Re-entry is a fine thing. You mess it up even in the least, you're toast.
Re-entry is not a thing in Star Wars until right now. They've never had any trouble just kind of sitting down on a planet.
How funny would it have been if, just a moment ago when they're flying past a couple towers here, and they actually take down one of them, there's some dude sipping his coffee at a control tower, and a la Top Gun, he splashes coffee all over his shirt, and he's like, ugh! Ugh, those fighters!
Yeah, but in Top Gun, that's a requesting flyby. Now it's been denied. I'm going to drink my coffee. Yo, he got me anyway. Yeah, I don't remember most of this, thank God. I mean, we got, like, firefighter ship drones kind of over here trying to put the flames out before they land. It's a little excessive, isn't it? Like, I think that's one of the complaints is, like, everything has
It's
so
to
much
set up
more
tension.
going on.
Like, will they make it without sustaining too much damage? Another happy landing. Okay, Obi-Wan, I would hate to see what an unhappy landing would have been.
You know, you see him in the first movie. You don't really get the sense that he can even fly a ship. But in these prequels, he does a lot of ship flying, doesn't he? I mean, he needed Han Solo. He couldn't have had a ship sitting by in a cave, just, waiting for Luke to need it someday. Things like that, right?
And more banter back and forth where they're kind of sort of recalling all the adventures they had in the past. You only won for saving your skin for the 10th time. 9th time.
There are George Lucas cameo roundabouts anywhere in like blue paint, or is that only in like maybe the previous movie?
Yes, he's in this movie somewhere. I will point him out when we see him. In fact, his character is one of the characters hidden inside those bubble things on the ship in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
You may be several seconds ahead of me because they just had their talk about 9th time, 10th time. Okay, is that George Lucas on the left here in the blue with the massive chin gels?
No, that's not him. I'll point him out when we see him. It's just before the Opera Hall scene. But right here, Mace Windu says something like, General Grievous will run and hide like he always does. Okay, so Grievous is a coward. Isn't he supposed to be this intimidating character? Isn't he supposed to be kind of sort of an antagonist here?
You get the feeling that Mace Windu's kind of the wrong role for Samuel Jackson. He doesn't have a lot of his own inflections or much to do. He has to talk so wooden compared to how we're used to seeing him. Sorry, Jimmy Smits. I need to go talk to my gal.
Has anyone been around Padme recently here? Noticing she's pregnant? And Padme doesn't do much in this movie, really.
I'm kind of surprised that maybe we keep advancing Anakin up the chain of command with the Jedi, even though he's got a girlfriend or he has a wife, but it's not like they don't know it. But somehow he's not allowed to do it, but they're like, oh, well, we'll make an exception, right?
But to be fair, what are we to expect? She's going to fly with a pregnant belly in space?
I mean, shouldn't they be kicking him out of the Jedi Order?
You'd think they would. But also, too, look at Hayden Christensen
like
and
if the
Natalie
Pope
Portman
had a
right
wife,
here.
wouldn't they be like, you can't be the Pope anymore?
Look at their hairstyles. They kind of look like Luke and Leia right here. Hayden's hair is kind of frizzy. Natalie's got the buns in her hair.
Doing but him, I hadn't really considered it before, but yeah, definitely see it. It's not the same hairstyle he had in the previous movie, that's for sure, which was a far cry from Luke.
Hayden looked all clean cut in episode 2.
Did they date in reality? That sort of thing tends to happen with co-stars.
I think they might have.
It's amazing that ship comes to the planet, it looks amazing. As it gets closer to the planet, it looks less amazing.
Here's another thing about General Grievous, his impatient. He's impatient. Look right here when the ship lands. The bridge is extending. He's walking out as the bridge extends.
Now, I believe that this movie you can watch in 4K, but Attack of the Clones was not originally mastered in 4K. It wasn't a standard at the time, so you couldn't... This will give you better pixel resolution, this one, natively. It won't really improve much of the effects.
Where did Palpatine go once they landed? He relayed a message to Mace Windu, so he had to go aside to dress up as Sidious when he was relaying this master to General Grievous. Like I said, how does he go back and forth between...
Go to the bathroom.
How does he go back and forth between being Palpatine, now being Sidious? Repeating this Jekyll and Hyde thing.
Maybe he's like in the stall. And he's like, excuse me. Nope. Occupied. Sorry. I'm just talking to somebody in a different voice right now.
Talk about beautiful tracking shots. Look at this right here with Coruscant at night. I've said this before. It looks like New York City. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, some of this looks pretty good.
I mean, who wouldn't want an apartment like this? You get a beautiful view of the city all around. It looks like
I could
comfortable
just
living
sit there
quarters.
and watch her play with her hair for a bit. I mean, are you at the part on the Anakin or the Obi-Wan show where he's like, I'm sorry I'm not your real dad, but I wish I could have been. Yeah, because Natalie Portman's smoking hot.
Things look good for Anakin and Padme, don't they? So everything's going to turn out just great in the end of the movie, right? Right?
Now here's some bad dialogue because George Lucas thinks he's William Shakespeare.
I don't know. I've heard worse.
Look at the dissolves. What are we doing? Is that like the second one of these sort of like 6-screen dissolves I've seen? I think so. These are not the usual wipes that we get. This is a little more bizarre.
It has to be something to look surreal, so we know this is happening in a dream, in a vision, a la Dreamscape.
You know what's crazy? Dreamscape comes out in 1984. At the end, the villain has I think knife-like fingers. Same year, or around the same time as Nightmare on Elm Street. And I think the guy even has a striped sweater. It's but I'm not so sure anybody had any room to rip off anybody there. Rip off anybody's idea.
We can kind of sort of relate to Anakin. Never mind what he's worried about. We all have moments where insomnia... I can't sleep. Gotta get up and think about things.
I am not keeping track of her costume changes. Was she wearing this on the balcony? Maybe not.
I think she was. Maybe she had some extra things around it, but...
There's going to be a lot of costume changes for her in this movie. This could be 2 or 3 at this point.
She's like a female Liberace, with everything she changes in and out of.
What if that was the trick? If you change your clothes enough, you never have to take a shower. Or wash the clothes, because they're never dirty. Now, you've probably seen the figure she's in for this new Thor movie, right?
Yes.
It looks like she was hitting the gym with Chris over there, who, by the way, when they cast him as Thor, I thought, he's not nearly jacked enough or tall enough or nothing, but boy, did he deliver on the getting jacked. Now Natalie Portman's sporting some CrossFit arms and shoulders.
What do actors do when they have to get in shape for roles?
It's weird. It's like it never happened, and then all of a sudden, that was the thing. If you're being paid enough money, you can get in shape, because your job is to be in shape. Normal folks are not paid to get in ridiculous shape, and therefore they don't. They have other things to do. If you can hire a personal trainer and a personal chef, you're guaranteed to look amazing.
Anakin's not really getting much counsel from Yoda. Yoda's basically telling him, train yourself to let go. He's not telling you Anakin what he wants to hear.
In the version I'm watching on Disney Plus, is it possible I have a different Yoda than you on your DVD?
I think it's the same.
Enhanced Yoda?
No, I think it's only The Phantom Menace where they enhance Yoda from the theatrical version to the Blu-ray.
No, I think they... well, maybe. Did they not do anything to him in Attack of the Clones? Improve him?
I don't think so, because I was watching the films on Disney Plus a while back just to do a comparison. I think it's only The Phantom Menace where it's different.
I mean, honestly, he's not looking that amazing here, so that could be the case. How'd you like to go to that lecture hall there where you have to sit on memory foam? You don't get no seat back.
Excuse me.
Have to watch a presentation from Obi-Wan Kenobi and not fall asleep.
One of the levels in the Lego Star Wars game is where you're fighting off the clone troopers when they take over. And one of the rooms you go into is that little council room right there where they have those presentations. And there's a funny bit where the clone troopers are in their disguise as Jedi and they're eating boxes. Looks like they're having a pizza party. Then they turn around and start shooting at you. There's so much hilarious stuff in the cutscenes going on if you've ever played those.
I know they came out with a new version. I think they called it the Skywalker Saga of the Lego Star Wars. I may give it a look. I might... And to me, a lot of cases, it's will it end up on Game Pass? Then I'm more keen to play it. Because it's hard to put money into a game purchase at this point. Especially when you know you're not going to play the game forever. And then you have like a digital copy out there that you can't do anything with. It doesn't accumulate value. Oh, you can sell the disc years later. Nothing like that. Speaking of crypto crash, NFTs are garbage. You know who's looking pretty good? Me, because I invested in sneakers and comic books. My DVD investments in high school, that didn't really pan out. I think all your DVDs now are worth like maybe 5 cents a piece if you think about it, right? Because even if somebody has a DVD player, who really wants to mess with it? Alright, so there's Yoda. He's not looking entirely trash. The jury's out on whether or not they fixed Yoda. I mean, there are tweaks to these versions on Disney Plus that are not entirely advertised. Like they did some further meddling with the Han shot first bit. Take a seat, young Scott. So is he a master now? Is that the story? If you're seated here, you're a master, right? Or maybe he's just in on the conversation.
Well, it's something there so we see things going on from Anakin's perspective. He was a slave, child, now to be as further in his training as a Jedi, granted a seat on the council, and now he's not granted a seat. Makes him think like all of this was a lie, and that hurts.
Good relations with the Wookiees I have. Well, when have we ever seen that happen? So the Separatists are mounting an attack on Kashyyyk? Is that it?
Kashyyyk, again, because originally Return of the Jedi was to be a Wookiee planet. Okay, so let's have a Wookiee planet in this movie instead.
You think you have to pay 6'10", 7-foot extras more than 4-foot extras? I mean, because either way, they're hard to come by, right? Maybe in the least you spend more at craft services for the tall people. Lighting in this movie looks much improved over Attack of the Clones for this interior fake lighting that they want to pull off with the. They want to do some kind of golden hour shot, but they're green screen, and you can see you got a fairly muddy texture on the ground for CGI and stuff, but it looks better than it did in Attack of the Clones.
Not just that, there's so much going on in Episode 3. Scenes between the action scenes, dialogue going on between the characters. So much going on where it's slowing down momentum, where it sets up tension, where everything's eventually heading. It goes to show you don't have to have action in a scene to make it a great scene. It doesn't need to be an action sequence.
All right, so what all did he want out of the council here? Has he been tasked with following around Palpatine? They don't have any faith in him. I don't think the boy can handle it. You're right, he's a loser.
Okay, Mace Windu, so if you don't trust Anakin, and if it's unsafe putting him with the Chancellor, then don't put them together.
Here's a thought. Why don't you have two people follow around Palpatine so he can't influence one of them? But that's not the prophecy. You know, I like the fact that in the original trilogy, nobody talked about any prophecy crap.
That's another thing. How interesting would this prequel trilogy have been? I mean, not that it's not interesting already, but if they kind of went a different direction where the backstory is more about Palpatine than it was about Anakin. Think about this for a minute. His origins are almost a complete mystery. Remember, in The Phantom Menace, it is said that the Sith had been extinct.
I mean, don't look at it that way. Consider it like this. Would you have rather seen Palpatine on Disney Plus rather than Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney Plus? Because I would have gone with Palpatine.
Oh, definitely. And what I was going to say was, in The Phantom Menace, it was said that the Sith had been extinct for a millennium. That's 1,000 years. Okay, so how did the Sith survive in secret for so long? Why did none of them make a grab at power until now?
You know, it makes me think of The Book of Eli. You familiar with that? Denzel Washington, Mila Kunis, Gary Oldman?
Not really.
This guy, Eli, Denzel Washington, has the last Bible. And he's traveling the wasteland. It's like Mad Max with a Bible guy, okay? How would you ever know you have the last Bible? There's so many Bibles out there, you could never verify that all of them have been incinerated or destroyed to know that you had the last one. So how would you know that was the last Sith or not?
Palpatine has to basically plant the seeds of distrust in everyone, build armies, and keep everyone off his trail. Okay, we're going to see George Lucas in just a moment. I don't know if you see the exact moment I do. Okay, Anakin's heading up the stairs towards the Opera Hall.
There's a Twi'lek here with a massive rack. That's kind of got my attention.
Here he's coming up right there. Right, Anakin's heading inside. See that character on the far left and wearing a red suit? That's George right there. Baron Papanoida is the character's name. Look him up. That's George Lucas right there.
I don't think I can see him. Is he what kind of makeup's George wearing?
Not really. He's got like a heavy suit on. Looks kind of like the Red Baron, actually.
You know who we never really got anything out of was the Imperial Guards that wear the big red capes. You can see them in the background of Return of the Jedi. They make an appearance as enemies you defeat in Shadows of the Empire on Nintendo 64.
They put up a good fight in Lego Star Wars. In fact, you gotta cut them down a few times with the lightsaber. Or just switch to Vader and you can force choke them.
What the hell are they watching? Is this Cirque du Soleil with water?
Something like that.
And
it's supposed to be an
things
opera hall.
moving between them. It'd be funny if he was like, "Don't interrupt me. I'm paying attention to this."
But listen to what's going on in the music here. There's no John excuse me, there's no John Williams score playing. It's just this subtle humming in the background as Palpatine's going through all of this, telling Anakin basically
Well, you're making me crank my music up now.
the background of things. Like, is Palpatine telling Anakin the truth from a certain point of view? Or is this all a fable, what he's telling him about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis? Did this actually happen?
I don't know what to make out of Palpatine's story, or even the way that it seems to be concluded in The Rise of Palpatine, as they may as well have called it. Because isn't he in that film like affixed to a robot, like he, spider-like in a way, right? He's not walking around. He's got like a robot actuator thing in his back, right? He's sort of a puppet. Is that what it looks like?
Yeah, something like that.
But it's never confirmed or denied that he died and this is a clone of him. Of course, if it was a clone of him, why would this one be in this condition instead of out walking around, or how did he survive? They just say somehow Palpatine returned. Which shows all the concern they really have for telling a story, right? When they're really in the make product, make people pay for it business. The trailers for this were really heavy with Palpatine, and there were early talks, people going, Ian McDiarmid, however you pronounce his last name, he should get like an Oscar nomination, Best Supporting Actor, because he's just so menacing.
It's
all
what
right,
I keep saying.
Tadpoles.
You just get the impression he thoroughly loves playing the character. He's just so manipulative.
But what else is he going to do? I've seen him in one other movie, Dragon Slayer. That was over 40 years ago.
I've seen him in one other movie, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, wait, was he the butler?
Yes, he was Michael Caine's butler, but it made sense. Frank Oz directed it, so of course they could get together for something else.
And Dragon Slayer is that not a Lucasfilm? It had Industrial Light and Magic, I think, doing the effects. It might have been a Lucasfilm. I don't know, is there a Lucasfilm besides Star Wars before Willow? Or no?
Just sci-fi movies at the time that had the same people from ILM working on it. E.T., Poltergeist, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan even. Even the Indiana Jones trilogy.
I learned yesterday that the whales in Star Trek IV were not whales. That's got to be the most convincing practical effect in all of movies, because you never even question, oh, well, that's a really good puppet, right?
And right here, the way this scene ends, is it possible to learn this power? Not from a Jedi.
That's in the trailer, the TV spots, yeah.
And now we cut right to Kashyyyk.
Yeah, they screwed up putting this kid into the frying pan like this. Though I have to wonder, why is the setup here, or rather is it the repetition of it? The dream, Padme's in danger, I have to do something about it before she ends up like my mom, who I had dreams about, found out she got killed. Or was captured and dying, right? So is that the motivation to do something to remedy Padme preemptively? And is it possible Palpatine is giving him the bad dreams now that we know Palpatine can basically do anything? Like, do we have to revisit that and think that it's possible Palpatine is putting this in his head to steer him?
Is Anakin really being seduced by the dark side here, or is he merely tricked into becoming evil? He's being manipulated either way.
He's being manipulated by the Jedi Council as well, so that you have an understanding of him being like, from my perspective, you're the bad guys. I don't care for the clone trooper colonial marine look over here with the jungle camo.
And the ones we saw walking around earlier, they basically look like the biker scouts in Return of the Jedi.
Because it's like, look, if these guys have camo, how come they didn't have camo on Endor? And, chroma keying the fuzzy, the fur-laden Wookiee outfits is not easy, so you can see, like, some weird bloom around them, if you look. Like, I'll look at their feet, legs. There's that Tarzan yell, so that we can make sense of it for the Endor attack.
Ooh, Yoda almost took a hit. And right here's the last time we see Anakin and Obi-Wan together before they eventually face off. It's brothers' farewell.
Really? I hadn't thought about it like that. I mean, when you see this in theater, you kind of think that maybe this is the most Obi-Wan of any of the movies. Like, he seems like he's possibly the lead. He has a lot he has to do by himself.
It's not just that. We have to have a scene where they're on good terms together before everything all goes downhill. To give Obi-Wan some impression. Did you see my video
about the high ground dilemma?
Yeah, I saw that. It's just to give Obi-Wan some impression, that they're still on good terms. Anakin's still a good man. But little does he know.
Be with you. All right. Well, I don't think this would have been the best movie to incorporate a high ground duel in training. That should have been Attack of the Clones. Would have been a good place to incorporate that, when maybe we could have seen Anakin training, getting used to the Force or anything like that, right? And then we could come full circle with the high ground aspect for their duel at the end, which I do think is excessive. I think it is still considered the longest duel in cinema. We have some CGI faces there on our...
And there's Tamora Morrison.
Oh man, those are rough. Yeah,
actor who played
those
Jango
fake
Fett playing the leader of
CGI
clone
faces
troopers
are rough as hell. Did you see some of those? Wow, they look like PS1.
And a minute ago, he was like
cutscenes in Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, come on, have I ever let you down? Well, you did try to kill me in my sleep one time, but boys will be boys.
I do like the fact that they have these packs they go to floating in space to make the hyperspace jump, rather than the fighter itself just going to hyperspace. Because you get the sense that logically the fighters shouldn't be able to make the jump to hyperspace. That's why they need to get into the bigger ships.
There's another costume change.
Yeah, like I said, I failed to keep track, but I doubt she matches the number she had in 2. Which was what, like 11? It was a lot. I mean, they could have made a whole Barbie collection out of Padme's. It's Malibu Padme.
Is here where first Anakin confides in Padme what's troubling him.
Now that I know what he looks like older, I can see some of it in his face here. Whereas I couldn't see some of the smile lines and stuff before, or anticipated them. They didn't do a proper good job de-aging Hayden Christensen for the Obi-Wan series. I think they may have aged up Ewan McGregor for most of the series, and then just took the makeup off of him and been like, "Hey, look, you're Attack of the Clones era Obi-Wan now."
And now we go to Utapau, basically the sinkhole planet. So Obi-Wan is off on his own separate mission from Anakin.
Yeah, we're gonna have lizards and things.
A little trivia, playing Tyon Madan here, the leader of these Nosferatu-looking aliens, is Bruce Spence. He was also one of the voice of the sharks in Finding Nemo.
And he's in Mad Max 2 and 3. And I happen to have mentioned Mad Max coincidentally here.
Seriously, look at those aliens. Tell me that they don't look like Nosferatu.
I see some of it, yeah. That is quite the collar he has, isn't it?
My favorite film of all time, by the way. A masterpiece which reached its 100th anniversary this year.
Oh, really? I hadn't considered that. Wow. Yeah, Bruce Spence is 6'7", Ewan McGregor 5'10".
And how much are these characters in danger from everything going on?
By the way, in case you're new here, Mad Max 1, 2, and 3 are way better than Fury Road. Fury Road is debatably the most overrated movie ever made.
They were being watched.
Check out the big skeleton structure. Yeah, there's a lot of things for you to look at in this movie, but there's not a lot for you to really think about. There we go. We got sort of a horizontal split wipe there, and we have the squawking iguana type thing. That won't get annoying at all. It says yips in brackets. That's great.
It is a volcanic planet. You will be safe there. Excuse me, but since when are you safe on a volcanic planet?
And if you've seen Vader's fortress, he's kind of built next to the flowing lava. It's kind of like, man, that lava just flows an inch to the side. It's going to collapse your whole bridge. Because he has like a castle straddling the lava flow canal. Like, it's an incredibly bad idea. This is the hello there bit, isn't it?
Yes, and in answering something Minnie, I'm sure, pointed out, why does Obi-Wan leap in the middle of this convoy when really all they have to do is blast him to smithereens? I'm sure Obi-Wan's confident he can take on Grievous, but remember in episode 2...
He gave it some thought, and he thought, I'm going to just jump in the middle of everybody.
Remember in episode 2 where Obi-Wan jumps out the window to try to catch that droid? Remember, too, in The Empire Strikes Back, the dialogue between Yoda, "You are reckless. So was I."
I don't know why that reverse shot of him.
Okay, so we have to have something there to show just how Obi-Wan was reckless.
Some of these shots of not Ewan McGregor around here look really awful. Like, they're, as everybody was coming in, and then you got this from the back wide shot of a CGI Ewan McGregor. It looked really off.
Here we go. Obi-Wan versus Grievous. I think originally they were going to have something different where he faces off with Grievous in the middle of somewhere on here where they're in the desert. There they have their showdown.
What is he exactly expecting to happen here? Suppose he defeats Grievous. Is everybody else just stand down? Was he doing the two-finger out pose in the previous movie? Or I don't recall him doing that in Phantom Menace. That seems to be his pose.
Not that I recall. But right here, look at... Grievous slowly going towards him with his two lightsabers in front spinning. It's basically like a propeller from a plane heading right towards you.
All right, one down. There's another. You still got people walking around at the bottom. They're not privy to this knowledge.
Good, everyone's right on schedule.
Well, that's clones for you, man. They're punctual. Cackling.
And right there with Grievous's eyes. What is he under that suit? Again, it's foreshadowing where Darth Vader is heading.
His mask is rather bone-looking. Maybe less intentionally so. I don't know.
Got away real fast with that spider-like walk.
Yeah, but doesn't that look goofier than the audience should be taking in the action? I think that's a part of the problem with the prequels is like they're doing so much excessively that you have time to be like to be critical of the action and be like, oh, well, that looks silly. Instead of, and when you think, oh, that looked goofy, that takes you out of the moment.
And how's Obi-Wan going to catch up with Grievous so fast? Again, look at you, he's going to lose his lightsaber again. He gave Anakin a pep talk. This weapon is your life. But Jedis are losing their lightsabers left and right.
And didn't he just meet this iguana? This bearded dragon iguana thing? Like, I mean, he must be using that force nurture type thing on him, right? To keep him docile and behave.
Here's a very short scene right here, this Jedi War Council scene. All the lighting. But here's a good example to me of what I said. A scene in this movie, it doesn't need to be an action scene to be a good scene. Just little by little with dialogue going on, there's something there to set up tension. Mace Windu senses there's something quite untrustworthy going on. What
Is
should we do?
Is something going to happen where we realize Mace Windu survived? Because he got thrown out a window, right? But we didn't see him explode or turn into a Force ghost. You know, the way I feel about it, Qui-Gon's Force ghost thing doesn't really work. They try to set it up in this movie that he came up with the way to be the Force ghost. He doesn't disappear like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda do. I feel like your body disappears and then you get to be a Force ghost, not, well, we gave you a cremation or, you know, you died before you could disappear, you know, any of that stuff. I think there needs to be some consistency on who gets to be a Force ghost. I mean, I suppose the way it's depicted in the sequel movies, Leia and Luke getting to be Force ghosts work because they disappeared.
Interesting. Now, way I hear, originally, this scene right here was going to be where Anakin ultimately is seduced to the dark side. But way it's being presented here, the way this scene begins, there's something troubling Anakin. There are very few people around he can trust. Who's the one person he feels he can trust? Palpatine.
See those big vases, those possible urns inside his office? Some people are giving headcanon that's the Darth Plagueis's body is like they're cremated in the urn, you know, things like coming up with a little bit of backstory behind what's appointed his office here.
You know the power of the dark side? So little by little, Palpatine's twisting the needle. Maybe this guy knows more than meets the eye.
I don't know why Anakin would think Palpatine knows anything about the Force, given that he's just a politician as far as he's concerned.
Right there, that evil little grin Palpatine gave. At what point should Anakin be thinking, there's something unsettling about Palpatine?
See, he has the kid concerned about the somebody dying and stuff, so maybe he put that thought in his head. Though ultimately it does come true, so maybe not. Because he is kind of having the visions of her dying in childbirth, right? And I mean, I guess Palpatine could have remote force choked Padme during childbirth, given the powers we've seen of him that Disney granted him, right? That's it, guys. I've solved it. Palpatine killed Padme. Suck it, Red Letter Media.
Are you going to kill me? I would certainly like to. You think about that when he's throwing him down a mine shaft years later. But according to Disney, I say according to Disney, Palpatine doesn't die from there.
Has Palpatine been told directly that Padme's in danger by Anakin? I don't think Anakin has actually had that talk, saying Padme.
Okay, watch right here, where Obi-Wan's catching up with Grievous. The first time I saw this movie, I was expecting Obi-Wan was going to jam that electric poker rod into Grievous's wheel, kind of like the motorcycle chase in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Remember that?
Yeah, you could do that with a pool cue in Road Rash on Nintendo 64, and it was amazing. That would have been the move to do. I guess this baton with the lightning around it must be pretty similar to what we saw in The Force Awakens that Stormtrooper has. And it can seem to bounce off a lightsaber. Like, a lightsaber doesn't cut through it as long as it has that lightning going around it.
And what is it that Grievous has a punch so powerful it punches Obi-Wan upward? It dents his ship. Obi-Wan tries to punch or kick Grievous back. He hurts himself doing it.
Yeah, that's why you don't punch a football player who has his helmet on.
Aim right for the heart, and that causes Grievous to implode.
A fiery death. There will be more fire in this movie.
Oh yes, it's coming. So uncivilized. Kinda sorta referencing A New Hope. Not as clumsy or random as a blaster.
Yeah. In The Empire Strikes Back, when Vader... There we go. Did you see that? That was the 6-screen dissolve. That wipe right there.
They do so many wipes I can't keep up.
It was like there were 6 squares that... It was silly. I don't see the motivation behind that, but... Okay, in The Empire Strikes Back, Han Solo pulls the blaster on Vader in the Cloud City when he sees him at the dinner. Hey, we have guests. They showed up before you. Sorry, Han shoots at him, and is that Vader's armor deflecting the blast, or is that Vader doing something with the Force?
It could be both.
Having a problem with my Audacity. I can't tell. It looks like it's chugging along. It might have gotten a little out of sync. I don't know. Let's push through. I think it'll be okay. There, we got Venetian blind wipe right there. Ridiculous. Costume change. This is reminiscent of Blade Runner to me. There's
is everything
going to
turn out for the best? Now he's going to come to Mace Windu and tell him.
And it kind of reminds me of the owl in Blade Runner.
Here's another example of how you don't need to have action to make a movie scene especially good. Anakin and Padme are at separate locations all throughout, but we're sensing throughout both of them, all the light is eventually fading to darkness.
All right, maybe it's a little later on this Blade Runner thing. I know there were shots
about to make a fatal decision.
You know, her hair is kind of like Rachel's in Blade Runner when she lets her hair down and it's still kind of curly.
And just with the sun, the lighting, it's all fading. Yeah, similar. But is that also foreshadowing of Anakin's fate, where he's heading?
We got Kit Fisto,
kind of like going into that Darth Vader suit.
And another guy.
It's sealing the light away from him forever.
And another guy behind him.
But he's thinking, no, I can't let this be. So he runs off, gets into his ship. He knows Palpatine's in danger. Or someone's in danger.
I'm the Senate, just ask Jar Jar Binks.
Are you threatening me? Could have had that say that a la Beavis. Are you threatening me?
Just stands there and takes it. Well, at least Fisto put up his guard.
It's treason, then. For the record, the second time, actually, the word treason is spoken. And if Palpatine's so powerful in the Force, surely he could have used some Force levels we've never seen before. He could have fried one of them using Force, kind of ignite them on fire. He could have frozen one of them to death. He could have fractured one of their spines.
Yeah, were you not impressed by the Force twisty jump that he gave? Did, really show off?
I took it as, remember Yoda with a lightsaber in Episode 2? Well, now let's see Palpatine with a lightsaber.
Always easy to find a parking spot on Coruscant, despite being a metropolis planet. Yeah, I hear Ian McDiarmid did all that flipping himself without a stunt double.
Mace is the only one who actually puts up a fight against Palpatine here.
Yeah. He might even last longer than anybody who fought him. I mean, heck, he even got the lightsaber out of him. Finish this, Mace. You kind of beat him. Oh, did you see that? He was really close to him, and then he wasn't. The shot kind of reset them.
Yeah, that was a little uneven.
Anakin walked in. Maybe he needed to lose this just to get Anakin to, jump to his side. I think maybe he lost that by design there.
Now Palpatine's revealing, I'm Darth Sidious. It was me all along. So that fills in everything. Why is he all old and wrinkled in Return of the Jedi? Well, now he morphs into the Emperor we know from Return of the Jedi.
Mace Windu is... Mace has... one of two things has kind of happened here. Is Mace pushing back the lightning on him, and that's causing this? Because he does have a bad look about him when he appears at it with the hood on in the holograms, right? Does he make himself up to look like a human?
Maybe. But again, I'm sorry to bring up the Disney movies, but what's even more ridiculous is Rey can take on Palpatine and defeat him because she has an additional lightsaber. So that's all Mace Windu needed.
Two lightsabers will do it, huh? Palpatine's got the Sith eyes going here. I'm not sure how you hide that, you know? It's not like he popped out some contacts. Power, huh? Is that what he said? I didn't know he said
Samuel
power.
Jackson had two requests. One, a purple lightsaber. Two, a glorious send-off.
Yeah, I'm thinking he could have survived this.
Yeah, but a far fall out that window.
Or nothing. Man, look at all the dental work he needs done. The Sith do not have dental in the insurance plan. Now, something that I find a bit confusing here is that we get the Sith eyes out of Anakin. He gets the yellow eyes, but when he's Darth Vader, he doesn't have the yellow eyes. And they never retroactively yellow his eyes. They do retroactively do something to Vader's head, right? Like remove a blemish or something in the special editions.
Yes,
you know what I'm talking about
there.
in Return of the Jedi?
Minus the wrinkles and the red eyes, but Palpatine morphing into Sidious here with the white hair. He looks kind of sort of like Old Biff from Back to the Future Part 2. Just my observation. Why is Palpatine suddenly talking like Yoda? A strong Sith you will become.
I'll tell you who he kind of looks like. He looks a bit like David Bowie in The Hunger, 1983, when he's like an old vampire.
You're a Sith now, so let's give you a name. We'll call you Darth Vader. It's always Darth something.
Yeah, what's the Darth stand for, essentially?
And now Yoda senses something's wrong.
Yoda can feel something. Yeah.
Really, what did I need Darth Maul and Count Dooku for? Now I have my apprentice, someone younger and more powerful.
I'm not so sure we ever saw the limits of Darth Maul's power. We never saw him do much with the Force, but boy could he fight with the lightsaber. I mean, he was taking on two Jedi at the same time for like 15 minutes. Prove yourself. Go to the Jedi Temple and kill the younglings. When Padme said, they said you were killing younglings, that took me out of the movie. Because I was under the impression younglings was maybe just something Yoda says, not the official term. Doing all of this to save Padme, and then he doesn't.
Does it feel kind of rushed the way Anakin is seduced to the dark side here?
It does, yeah. And the assumption he can kill all of the Jedi. I mean, I don't know. It seems like all the Jedi have some kind of ability. Shouldn't a few of them get together and be able to take on Anakin? Midi-chlorians be damned.
All of this for his love for Padme? All of this to be loyal to the Chancellor? You're going to betray the Jedi and everything?
In fairness, Padme looks pretty damn hot. She could be the hottest woman in the galaxy, from what we've seen. Maybe I'm losing track of it, but did we still have a battle going with the Wookiees, or did they finish their
It's
battle?
mostly finished. We're just focusing on what's going on here between the clone troopers. But that too changes awful fast. In just a few minutes. And just like that, Commander Cody's like, oh, okay. We're on the bad side now. Execute Order 66. What was Order 65, I wonder? Let's continue. Order 67, Pizza Hut Tuesdays. Order 68.
Yeah, you should be able to go somewhere and request an Order 66 and see what kind of value meal you get, you know? Like secret menu at McDonald's.
Order 68, Taco Night. Order 69, Bow Chicka Wow Wow. The list goes on.
Now, when you saw this in theaters, did you think, as I had, the only surviving Jedi are essentially Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that is it? Or did you think, oh, well, there's some Jedi off somewhere else doing other shit? Because the ones that it's showing us specifically, ones off other places getting killed. And that leads me to think that the idea is that all of them have been killed except the two we know.
In general, yes, but it gets more impactful if we see what's going on from all across the galaxy, all across all of us. They're not all on the same planet, all at the same location. Like, how far widespread is the Order 66?
But we're learning from the way Disney has structured things that apparently a lot of Jedi have survived this, or maybe not a lot, but an untold number have somehow survived.
Ooh, look, speeder bikes. Remember those?
Man, trying to navigate the speeder bike sequence in Shadows of the Empire was rough. See, Yoda's just kind of lucky that there weren't like a bunch of clone troopers around him. Right?
Try playing the speeder bike chase in Super Return of the Jedi. There's so much with the trees there in your way.
Maybe you guys, Order 65 should have been kill Yoda. That way he doesn't know they're up to no good. And then Order 66 finish the rest of them. That's the way they should have done it.
Unsuccessful either which way.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird to think that the other ones are just so easily shot in the back.
Here we go. Anakin killing children again. What are we going to do,
Yeah, but
Master
we never see it.
Skywalker? No, children, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to play a little game called Close Your Eyes and I'll give you a pleasant surprise. Did none of the younglings put up a fight against Vader at all? We saw them with lightsabers. Surely they would have learned some tricks in all the time that's passed.
Yeah, he's holding the lightsaber.
They all just stood there and take it? Come on.
Have you seen those videos of like the Jedi training thing at like Disney World where kids get to duel
Yeah, I saw something about that.
Darth Vader? And he goes, join me, join the dark side. And like occasionally a kid will say, I'll be your apprentice. And then like the guy leading the thing is like, okay, that's not an option. You can either participate or go back to the line and think about what you did, things like that. And
I love how there's so much
funny.
emotion going on, too, between everything going on. Padme senses something's wrong, then she breaks down and cries.
Well, this kid's putting up some fight. Surely we have a name for this Jedi, right? I don't like how Jimmy Smits... He's basically got like the Star Wars version of a Corvette convertible. It just... Even when he picks up Yoda in it, it kind of just takes me out of the movie that he's got a kind of funny looking ship.
He's got a cruiser, kind of like Tucker, the man in his dream. That was another George Lucas production.
I was meaning to watch that. It was available on some streaming service, I'm sure. Came across. Jeff Bridges, right?
Yeah, 1988, same year as Willow.
We don't see Yoda and Chewbacca again to feel like they should know each other better, Yoda in the main movies is very isolated to only hanging out with Luke. It's not like he ever joins in and goes, "Oh, hey everybody, it's me."
But it does make for a tearful farewell. Yoda had this egg ship cruiser that hidden where he could make his getaway from.
Maybe just enough range left on it to get to a moon. It's set up in a Dagobah system. Now here is a Star Wars looking interior, right?
Yeah, looks familiar, like the Tantive
Who's the
V4.
babe walking behind him right there? Oh, I think there is a deleted scene of a Mon Mothma, and she's played by the same actress who plays her in Rogue One, though she's not actually in the theatrical version of this film. It's a deleted scene.
Yes, there is a deleted scene of Mon Mothma, I remember. But I like how we cut between scenes. Bail Organa got away safely. Now they're conferring. There's a crisis going on. But Obi-Wan got away. His ship was still parked away safely somewhere.
If you decorated your house to look like the interior of a Star Wars ship, just the halls like we saw Bail walking through right there, you could just host video from that and people would just swoon. You don't need a bunch of Funko Pops and trinkets and resin statues sitting on shelves. Make it look like a set from Star Wars. It almost looked like C-3PO was trying to get a hug from Anakin and got denied. You see the way he was walking over there?
Yeah, I noticed that.
I guess to greet R2. Oh, here we go with the "you were killing younglings."
No, that's later. She knew something happened with the younglings.
I must dramatically walk away like it's a daytime soap opera. Many Jedi have been killed, I know.
How would their life have been together if none of this happened? They could have gone to a picnic, have a beautiful location, raise Luke and Leia there.
I don't entirely recall what happens on Mustafar aside from their duel. Does he takes out the Asian stereotypes, right? Maybe. I mean, at some point you gotta get rid of them.
I think he takes some of the dignitaries that Palpatine has. Remember the guys in Return of the Jedi in those dark red robes who were on his shuttle?
Yeah. You know what? 3PO, you're looking a little fat in the waist.
I feel so helpless. When do you not, 3PO? And here we are aboard what looks like the Tantive 4. Is it the Tantive 4? Is this the same ship at the beginning of A New Hope? It looks like it.
I mean, it very well could be. Or maybe it's intended to be. I would have liked to have seen more interiors like this throughout the movie. But what do I know? I think you are right about Yoda. This looks like a 2005 Yoda if I had to take a guess at it. And the crazy ass wipes continue. I mean, they were so much simpler. It would be like a sweep across or maybe an iris. And now it's like, hey, what all can we do with the wipes? We're using all the plugins.
When my apprentice, Darth Vader, arrives, he will take care of you. Wow, subtle. No one would pick up on that threat.
You know what, though? Viceroy here, he is right. He's done well. He should probably keep him around to continue to find other tasks he needs done well and put this team on it because they did their part.
Interrupting myself for just a moment, here's Jeremy Bulloch playing the guy piloting the ship, a.k.a. Boba Fett in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Oh, I would not have realized.
And a little trivia, his stepbrother, or some way related to him, is Robert Watts, who was production supervisor, associate producer, and co-producer, respectively, throughout the original trilogy. And he produced all three, well, the first three anyway, films in the Indiana Jones trilogy. I think he was
Business
also...
as usual, though, over on the planet. Everybody's still flying their ships everywhere. There hasn't been like a mass, stay inside, shelter in place order, none of that. People are just still going to their jobs or whatever, buying their death sticks.
He also produced Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He's another one of those guys who, if you look up his filmography, has quite a resume on him.
So I've been watching some Seinfeld, and I didn't realize it, but there was this guy who looked kind of familiar, and he was a naked guy on a train on Seinfeld. Early episode, like season 3. Season 2 or season 3.
No, R2, wait right here. I gotta take care of something. Anyway,
And
go ahead.
I months ago, I was watching... I was trying to go through some old shows I used to watch I hadn't seen in decades because they were leaving Hulu. Perfect Strangers. In the first season of Perfect Strangers, the Perfect Strangers cousins Larry and Balky have a boss, and he has like a thrift store. Okay, and that guy was the naked guy on the subway on one episode of Seinfeld, and I'm like, well, what else has this guy done? He basically has played one role for over 25 years, and he is Pumbaa from The Lion King in all iterations where Pumbaa has a voice. And that's a weird thing to think, because it's like almost everybody else in the movie you kind of know the name of or something, or close to it, right? Like, they got a lot of famous people to voice characters in The Lion King, but if you were a guy who was just like a series recurring character or whatever, occasional actor, and then you happen into a voice role that can just give you mailbox money forever, that's got to be a pretty good feeling right there. There's got to be people in this movie, or who were in 2 of the 3 or whatever. I mean, come on. Hayden Christensen didn't act for a while, right? Or nothing big. I think he has like a couple of like straight to video projects in the last 10 years, maybe sparingly. He's probably got serious mailbox money from 2 films.
And did you see that when Anakin / Vader entered the facility? Did you see those mouse droids scatter away from him awful fast? Like they're freaked out by Anakin?
Is that what they're called, mouse droids? Those ones that look like miniature... They look like they could be the miniatures for the... God, what... The guy... The scavengers on Tatooine, what are they called with the darked out faces?
Sand people?
No.
Jawas?
Jawas, yeah. Like their big tank looks kind of like a giant version of the little tank droid that just kind of wanders around in Imperial areas. Clearly,
right
he
there.
has the
Did you
Sith
see
eyes.
that?
He has
where
the
Anakin
Sith eyes,
turns
right?
towards camera. I remember seeing that from one of the teasers. Little by little here, they make Anakin look more and more and more fearsome.
But he
Vader.
has Sith eyes, and then he doesn't. Like, it's strange. He gets to be maximum Sith without the eyes. Who's the baldy over here on the left of Palpatine?
Slymore.
Oh, here we go. This is how Liberty dies, with thunderous applause.
I
Not
know.
the worst line,
Yeah, it's how we felt when Trump won.
It's interesting how that they've managed to tell this somewhat believable story of how the Empire succumbs or how the Empire takes power from the Republic in a slow fashion, and it seems more logical than how they thought that telling the story of how Darth Vader came to be. It's one of those seems more likely than the other as it's presented, and it seems like it's more likely that this Chancellor was given the emergency powers and exploited it than Anakin turning to the dark side. Because Palpatine coming to power and openly declaring himself the Emperor is slowly done, whereas this Anakin, but all of a sudden you're going to be seduced by the dark side.
Okay, they happen to have security cameras, security recordings where Obi-Wan can go back and see what happened. It can't be. It can't be.
Well, I think we screwed up, Yoda. Destroy the Sith we must. It seems a little late, doesn't it?
Yeah, you think, Yoda?
I mean, there's only 2 of us now, and we're both going to kind of wimp out. I mean, well, Yoda wimps out more than Obi-Wan, doesn't he? Because Yoda says to Luke Skywalker, and maybe that's because he learned the lesson here, do or do not, there is no try. Well, he wimps out and runs away from the fight at the end, hops into Bail Organa's roadster. Whereas Obi-Wan at least seems to win.
Do, live to fight another day.
But Obi-Wan seems to win his fight. Maybe he didn't finish him enough. Maybe he assumed he killed him. And it is kind of brought up in the Obi-Wan show that Obi-Wan seems to think that, surely he didn't survive that burning sensation. So it would appear. Oh, you have to believe me. He turned to the dark side. I've seen a security hologram killing younglings. Oh man, it's got to be hard to get through a line like that with a straight face. Do you think they kind of did Padme dirty here in that she just kind of spends the movie walking around talking about how other people feel, kind of?
I can't help but feel that way, yes.
She's covered very little mileage. She's basically been in one or two rooms the entire movie. Padme is much more an accessory in this film than the previous two. Why the hell would he not be the father? These two are married. I mean, if you don't believe me, is C-3PO programmed to lie, right? Because C-3PO was at the wedding.
Exactly. They can't keep that a secret much longer.
3PO, was there a wedding between Padme and Anakin? Alright, I killed the Separatists. I could dispose of the bodies. There's probably a convenient way to do that on this lava planet.
No, I'm just going to stand right here and mope.
My eyes are a little less Sith right now. Maybe I'm just not feeling it.
Look at the light reflecting on their ship.
Mm-hmm. Rather Naboo-esque.
And Obi-Wan stows away on board without Padme knowing.
When you first see the Millennium Falcon, you don't think, what a piece of junk. You think, wow, that looks really cool, right? But Luke Skywalker's like, oh, what a piece of junk. If Luke Skywalker is aware of ships like this being the Ferrari of the sky or whatever, maybe you would then think the Millennium Falcon was a piece of junk, right? However, you don't see a lot of these streamlined, slick Art Deco ships to compare to the Millennium Falcon in those three movies. Why not use those droids? Oh, we got another showdown. Do you ever watch Strange New Worlds, the Star Trek program on Paramount Plus?
No, I haven't seen that.
Or the Orville on Hulu?
Haven't seen Stranger Things either, for that matter.
Stranger Things. Conclusion of the season, I think, is going to be like 2 episodes. Comes out Friday. He puts the hood down, and now he's Anakin again. You know, like, oh, I need to be concerned for her. I'm going to run over here. But if I have the hood up, I have to be moping and walking around slowly.
And just how safe are you on these platforms with all the lava going around all over the place? Bits of lava flying around everywhere. Just little sparks of it. If it lands on your skin, the burn's going to be really painful.
Yeah, this might be a planet best inhabited by droids, if anybody. You killed younglings. There we go. I'm like, Would it possibly have been a stronger story to have a love triangle? Because there isn't a whole lot of reason for these two to have conflict. It's not like Anakin doesn't seem to think that Obi-Wan is cheating on Padme, or Padme's cheating on with Obi-Wan, right? Like, wouldn't that have maybe have been a better way to drive a stake between the two?
They could have gone that route. But Obi-Wan's definitely the more, shall I say, reserved.
It's also weird to think that already Darth Vader is thinking about overthrowing the Emperor. I'm more powerful than the Chancellor. I can overthrow him, don't worry.
But where Anakin's been so far, born a slave, trained in the ways of a Jedi. For some reason, he's resentful. But now to be in a position where he's all powerful, he's like, yeah, I can get used to this.
I've been listening this whole time.
But I'm doing this all to save you, Padme. With that in mind, now he force chokes her.
Kid, is it not possible that Obi-Wan could have stopped that with his force? Is there a preventive force choke for the Jedi?
Yeah, kind of like the Force Lightning, you can propel it backwards or deflect it. Is there a way to deflect the Force Choke? Huh. Good thought, now you bring that up.
Oh, we're getting it on now. The robes are coming off. I think we have like a 15-minute duel. Like, it is the longest one. I don't think it's been bested since, though there hasn't been a lot of effort to do so. I mean, I don't really care for this duel. I think it's incredibly excessive. Like, once they get on the platform and they're doing, like, Tony Hawk Pro Skater over the lava, it's kind of easy to laugh at. We're doing some deep focus stuff here, but not entirely impressive when you just have green screen shots. It sure seems like they're doing a lot of talking when they know what needs to be done, right? Like, do we really need to try to talk him down? It's already too late, right?
And it's on. Some good camera use there when Obi-Wan says, I will do what I must. There's what appears to be like a sun in the background. It's almost as though it's simulating the lightness.
He says that
he's
again
still on the
in
light
the
side.
Obi-Wan series. You'll get to it. I like this part.
Boom.
Boom.
No matter how many times I've seen that, I love it.
That is
Yoda takes down those
probably
rogue
my
guards like
favorite
nothing.
part of the entire film right there. Just Yoda just like, yeah, we're doing this now, you know? Clear the room. Theoretically, I like the setting more for their fight among the Senate pods. Though I think they should have fought to the death. It doesn't make sense to me to run off. Especially now we must destroy the Sith, or later, I guess, because he's kind of like, now there's only 2 Jedi around. I guess we'll just run away. Also, Yoda should not be getting hit by Force lightning like that. That's dumb. What do you prefer with your lightsaber fighting? Do you prefer the heaviness that I think George originally requested, where you were supposed to act like it was a broadsword? Or do you prefer the more like Eastern stylized fighting that it is prominent in the prequels?
I don't really have a preference. I look at it this way. It's what we see in the prequels is a more faster, more intense version of the lightsaber duels, because these are Jedi when they're young and in their prime. So of course it would be that way.
In the sequel trilogy, they have like Claymore lightsabers. Like, these things must weigh like 50 pounds. You can barely use it. Big, heavy overhead moves. Possibly chalked up to them being untrained.
If Yoda's so powerful in the Force, think of the things he could do. He should be mopping the floor of Palpatine.
I mean, comparatively, we haven't seen Yoda do anything nearly as impressive as Princess Leia. Princess Leia, who for 3 movies doesn't use the Force, can fly in space. Or, I'm sorry, is she General Leia by the end of it?
I try to block out the new movies in my mind.
I do think that at one point she is called Princess in, like, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
or
she's
at least
Princess throughout the
Empire
original
Strikes
trilogy. And just a moment ago, where Anakin or / Vader was choking Obi-Wan physically, couldn't just do the Force choke, and now they're doing drop kicks a la wrestling. And
I kind of
big
think this
reveal.
is the better duel right here. This Palpatine Yoda thing.
Palpatine's office was beneath the council meeting thing with all those pods the whole time.
Not that we really needed to understand the geography of the Senate room, but that is an interesting reveal nonetheless.
Okay, they're about to do something that screws up right there, where they hit a switch that destabilizes one of the platforms.
Oh, there's those elephant type alarms that you hear in Rogue One. A little bit of Duel of the Fates.
Yeah, it's the same music. Right here, where Palpatine throws the first few pods at Yoda, they should have had him shout, "Here! Best seats in the house!"
I don't know. Star Wars has never been one to do the one-liners for the action.
Yoda catches one, is about to propel it back at Palpatine. You spin me right round, baby, right round.
Yeah, Palpatine's kind of like, okay, I'll jump away. Like, he kind of took his time on that. Oh, lightsaber down. No one does I'm shooting lightning out of my fingertips better than Ian, right? And it's not like he's wiggling his fingers around as he does it or anything. He didn't tell Jimmy Smits to be waiting for him underneath the Senate, did he? Just kind of fortunate enough.
We're getting to that. He relays a message via communicator.
Oh, but he's on call, I guess.
But right there where we saw a section of Yoda's wardrobe fall, it's to maybe have Palpatine think he didn't survive that fall.
Oh. Okay,
Maybe.
well, I hadn't thought about... he can sense fear. He should be able to sense no one's wearing that cloak.
Oh, come on. How stable is that? Very, very narrow wire they're on right here.
It gets more ridiculous, though. When they're surfing on the lava, it's like...
And now here, where the lava's... That massive... sprout out of lava,
that just
and
blows over you. It's both
bits
of you
and chunks of
out.
lava are raining on them. They would be barbecued.
And there he goes, relays the information. Then he's not dead.
Okay, the midichlorians are protecting them from the lava flow momentarily. There, answered my own question.
He senses Lord Vader's in danger. Has concern for Vader. Vader not really liking Palpatine so much. Hey, I'm more powerful than him. I can overtake him whenever I want to. You push one button in the control room and the whole planet falls apart, right? It's almost like they pushed a button to activate the volcano.
Splash!
Yeah, I think at this point we've kind of crushed the threshold of ridiculous on that duel.
Yoda should be... bring your ship up a little higher, just to make sure he survives this jump and lands safely.
Yeah. Well, at least he knows he failed. Can you kind of imagine, though, Yoda and Obi-Wan kind of have a brief? So, how'd it go? Did you take down Palpatine? Hold on, did you take down Vader? Well, I asked you first. You. Okay, at the same time. We both failed and we have to go into exile.
Now they're swinging on vines, and just happy coincidence they
hell.
land safely.
And you can cut the other guy's vine. I mean, how can you miss, right?
And there goes the Separatist chamber, whatever that area was.
I mean, it's a cable, but a lightsaber would go through it, I'm assuming. We haven't seen enough stuff lightsabers can't go through eventually, right?
What are all these droids doing? Collecting samples of lava, collecting rocks, pouring them into canisters to test the lava?
I mean, maybe it's like a rock that they can build out of. Maybe it's an iron ore.
If you have something that you can pour the lava into that's lava resistant or can withstand the heat, you take it away from there, or eventually the lava just solidifies,
down,
yeah.
I'm not sure the Jedi are evil is necessarily the conclusion, but maybe, you guys were holding me back. You never believed in me. It's not quite evil, but I mean, there is a point of view to be shared.
Whoa, look at that.
Nowhere to run to now. Mm-hmm.
They could, when their lightsabers are clashed against each other, stop momentarily. One could force push the other off. And now Obi-Wan has the high ground.
Yeah, it's like, high ground, what good's that? We never talked about high ground. Alright, let's see this power he's underestimating. Let's see it. Check out my force jump.
Ooh.
Whoops. I don't know how he lost that much in one strike. But it's like, hands, legs. And we're about to get that PG-13 again, in case you missed the beheading earlier. We covered a lot of ground here in about 2 hours. If this was a Marvel movie, we'd have another hour left.
Well, those films are in their running time. But for many people I know, Star Wars fans, this scene's the most horrific right here, where Anakin slowly...
He should have finished him, man. Like, all the trouble that could have been
sinks towards the lava and now just immolates. Bursts into flame.
I mean, I guess we're to assume he thinks he got him, but if you see him catching fire like this, I mean, would you go ahead and hit him with a blaster and put him out of his misery, maybe? Like, something would have been done. He's even looking away, like, I don't want to see this.
We all remember the sacrifice scene in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. This is much more graphic. Anyone who sustained a burn injury as a child knows how painful one tiny burn is. Imagine your whole body being incinerated. It has got to be unreal.
The thing about those burns is they hurt you for, like, months to come, at the least. Like, I stuck my finger in a campfire once, because I thought, well, the fire's out, it won't be hot at all. Stick my finger in the white ash there. Not a good idea.
Or just you're frying something in a saucepan. If it accidentally spills on you or something, anything could happen if you're not careful. But point being, just seeing where Anakin goes up in flames like that, it's just horrific. Not just that, it's the music that plays throughout. It's nothing but somber violin music, and it just, all in one scene, shows just how heartbreaking and how horrifying it is to watch.
Does Padme kind of die of a broken heart here? That puts her in a bad state. If Anakin hadn't have done these shenanigans, maybe she would have not have died during childbirth. Suppose you're Palpatine. Do you now say, well, that was a failed experiment. I'll leave you here on the volcano. Why go to the effort to save Darth Vader?
Who else does he have who could be a powerful apprentice? There's still...
Well, he doesn't need an apprentice, as we've come to find.
What's left in Anakin?
He can evidently clone a guy. Or he can create in a lab a tall apprentice bio guy. He can do some things.
What's left is his rage keeping him alive, and right here are some subtle things. Where Palpatine leans down and touches Vader's forehead, similar to A New Hope when Obi-Wan finds Luke after he's ambushed by the Sand People. He leans over and touches his forehead.
Oh, that's going to hurt more, applying pressure to that spot. Got ourselves a clockwise wipe.
They gotta wear somewhere secret, this asteroid-looking like location.
Man, how secret can you get? I mean, anywhere these guys know to go is going to be Empire-controlled space, right? I mean, they got to be like top of the FBI's most wanted lists as well.
Be careful on that platform. That's a long fall down. And right here, where Anakin's on this makeshift capsule, they're carrying him towards wherever they're taking him. The rain falling on him after he's burned to a crisp. That would be painful too.
These droids, the medic droids, this stuff doesn't look so good. Dramatic moment you get kind of taken out of with goofy things that didn't need to be there.
Okay, Padme going out the way she does, it's not the best, but there's so much they could have done to screw this up even more.
Imagine this. C-3PO delivers the babies. Wouldn't that have given C-3PO some purpose for this movie? He's done jack shit. At least R2-D2 was in on the first battle sequence. The mystery of not knowing how Darth Vader gets all of his armor on and things like that is better than seeing it realized. Just seeing the helmet come down on him in Empire Strikes Back is all you need. There's one baby.
I'll get into that more. We need it later. Baby Luke and baby Leia. Birth and rebirth, so to speak.
Yeah, timed quite a coincidence here, right? Though it's kind of shown that he has red lenses at times, especially in the first movie, you can kind of see a red or a brown lens. You never see that again on Darth Vader's helmet. In Fortnite, they've introduced a Darth Vader skin for this season, and he has like almost glowing red eyes. It's kind of off-putting.
And once the suit and helmet are in place, everything's sealed in. Like a quote from the novel, "This is how it feels to be Anakin Skywalker forever." And here with the score going on,
him, right?
We're repeating the same music during Qui-Gon's funeral.
So she's saying they're still good in Anakin, though I think she's being a little hopeful. Now, I mean, there's not a ton of evidence to support the claim.
There is, but there had to be something positive for her dying words.
I don't like this scene here because he comes off the machine and the way he breaks the straps, the buckles and things, it just does not look good.
Say what you will about
there's
the
a lot of
Vader
like
no
CGI
thing.
and smoke and stuff. It doesn't look good at all.
It is what it is, but you know what, everyone? This right here is the real quote-unquote rise of Skywalker.
I guess so. Yeah, more so than Rey Palpatine. I think that they messed up here because in your anger you killed her. He needs to blame her death on the Jedi to he can get that vengeance to propel the action of Darth Vader.
Well, in a way,
that would have been the way to do it. Look how bad this looks. That CGI.
Just with what's left of him now, he has to live with this for the rest of his life.
Monster walk here.
Dracula like too, if the cape.
No boy. Oh yeah, introduce another wipe. Is that our last wipe? I think we
There's
get a
another
going to the closing credits.
There's another beautiful location. Looked like Switzerland right there.
Well, guys, what do we do? Split them up, we should.
And this is why the whole
dibs on the
thing
girl.
of Luke going into hiding the way Disney told the story anyway throughout the sequel trilogy messed everything up. The whole point of Obi-Wan watching over Luke as long as he did. Luke is the last of the old, the first of the new. He's the new hope of the galaxy. That's why Episode 4 is called A New Hope.
Here we go. We're going to introduce the concept of the Force Ghost here. Training I have for you. Although for 10 years you will lose touch with the Force because you just become disillusioned. Ulfin has learned the path to immortality.
There was even to have been a deleted scene where Yoda ventures off and we see his pod land on Dagobah. It's there in the deleted scenes on the DVD and the Blu-ray, but I just can't help but how impactful it would have been if they left it in the film, which they should have done.
Would it not have been prudent to have Qui-Gon's Force Ghost appear in this movie? We did make mention of it. I mean, but in such a wishy-washy way. There we go. We're deleting these droids of their memory just for the hell of it.
Yeah, so that explains why C-3PO doesn't remember any of this. And we're repeating the same music right here.
The thing is, they're only doing it to try to make sense of the hole they created in the story.
And
Jar Jar. Oh, Boss Nass, too.
And right here, with how the movie ends, with everything going on at different locations, Padme's funeral, again, the same music as Qui-Gon's funeral. And look what she's holding, the same Javor snippet that Anakin carved for her. There's not a word of dialogue spoken from here on as the film comes to its conclusion.
I hadn't thought about it that way. There is a guy who is made up to look like... Why can't I remember names anymore? What?
Wayne Pygram was the actor's name, and he's made up to resemble Peter Cushing as Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they didn't need
to
do...
only do it in wide shots here, but, you know.
They didn't need to do some weird trick effect thing they did in Rogue One. But things are looking more like the Emperor coming into place.
You think it takes about 20 years to build the Death Star? Maybe 20, 25 years, give take? Death Star is being born about the same time as Luke and Leia, right?
And I love this. This is a beautiful ending. It's the beginning and... It's the end and the beginning. Now here's the first time we see Alderaan. How beautiful it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's all of 5 people that ever live on it. It's really... There's more machines going around than you see people.
The way I hear it was the same baby playing both Luke and Leia here. Here's Bail Organa with the Queen of Alderaan. We hear Leia's theme playing throughout.
Oh yeah, there's wipes to become here, just wipes all over the place.
An even more familiar location with the homestead, the moisture farm.
And people are saying that's the same not camel that he was riding around in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Takes Luke to
get
Owen and Beru.
Yeah.
And I love this. It's a payoff either which way. Here.
Okay, so we know Uncle Owen's the same actress. And Beru the same actress?
I think it is. But this ends everything beautifully. It segues right into the original Star Wars. This was all the fan service we needed, leading right up to A New Hope. We didn't need Rogue One. We didn't need Solo. Had there never been any more Star Wars movies in theaters after this, this would have been a perfect ending right here.
Yeah, well, the Kenobi series doesn't add much because it's so handcuffed by what it can do. It can't offer a lot because you have to maintain everything that goes in canon. And Overall, I kind of think this is sort of like a 2.5 out of 4 star movie for me. I'm not crazy about it, but boy do the Disney movies make this look better by contrast.
The sequel, with what the sequels have done, the prequels look like Citizen Kane by comparison. Say what you will about the prequel trilogy, but visually speaking, these films are amazing, especially this film. And like I said, the ending is still a payoff either which way and segues right into the original Star Wars. I give this one an 8 out of 10 as a near perfect film. It has its flaws, but the way it ends, I feel something that I did not get any of seeing anything ever since in theaters with this sequel trilogy. I felt emotional.
All right, well, if you guys have made it this far, what do you guys think of the film? Let us know in the comments below. Goodbye.